In this video, I want to talk to you about emotions that in our current day society are considered to be not okay to express. The reason why so many people feel as if they can only open up in a therapist's room is that we have created a society where expressing emotions openly is considered to be not safe. And because we register that as not safe, we don't feel as if we're ready to get this vulnerable with other people to express our emotions in the first place. Envy. Being envious. We're living in a world where putting yourself outwards and creating an image of yourself is considered to be the new normal thing. Based on the stories that my parents have shared with me, when my parents were young, back in the past century, putting yourself out there was considered to be a bad thing. It was considered to be unacceptable. However, these days, within the environment of me generation, which I'm also belonging to, it's considered to be a usual practice to show off, to create an image, to associate a successful person with their image. It's like turning yourself into a brand. The mixed message that we get and that we give to other people around us is that although the current society that we're living in celebrates greatness and yourself as a self-image and myself as a self-image, it's still considered unacceptable to envy other people, even though this is something that we all do all the time. It's a side effect of the me society. Within the circle of my friends, I envy people a lot. Not only do I envy their achievements that I can observe in the external world physically, but most importantly, I'm envying the achievements that they publicize. Being envious is not something that we can openly discuss with other people. And as a psychologist, I think if we get more tolerant towards the expression of envy, if we stop blaming it and shaming it as an unacceptable emotion, we will be able to get closer to our inner truth and experience the entire truth of our emotional state in its full validity. Resentment. It's not okay to say that you're resenting someone. Resenting someone means being in the victim mentality. And being in the victim mentality is something that we're shaming a lot in our society. When a person is saying that they're being in a resentful state, what we hear is that they're weak, that they're not able to get over it. Therefore, the person who is experiencing resentment is not willing to open up their heart and talk about their resentment in the first place, because they know what kind of attitude, the get over it attitude, they will face, feeling condescending. In the most developed areas of the world, equality and horizontal perspectival thinking is something that is flourishing. No perspective is considered to be more valid than the other. And people indeed are born equally valuable, equally worthy. It's even out of question. When a baby gets born into this world, nobody ever questions their worthiness at all. Our refusal to respect hierarchy is something that counterintuitively brings a lot of suffering into our lives. We do feel that we are superior about certain things. We recognize our areas of expertise, and we know that when it comes to certain areas in life, we do feel significantly more confident than other people in our surroundings. But because of this notion and approach of horizontal equality, we don't necessarily feel as if we're able to express that we're feeling superior about those areas in life, that we feel like experts in those areas in life. Therefore, decisions that are game changers, that include important policies, are being taken by the people who don't have enough professionalism and expertise to take those decisions very often, because we're not able to respect and accept hierarchy. At higher levels of development, hierarchy turns into holarchy. You start recognizing that, as developmental psychology has put it, people do go through various stages on their path to adulthood, to wisdom, to higher levels of development, and that our consciousness can rest at different rungs of development. And this is something that we need to take into account when we're planning educational systems and growth systems. This might be a crucial realization, even though it may feel very painful to many of us. Feeling stupid. We mix up the state of not knowing, which is an actual state from which the genuine knowing comes from, with a state of oblivion and ignorance. And because we consider ignorance to be a bad thing, we're afraid of being put in a situation when we're feeling as if we don't know something. And that's a very painful state to be in. It doesn't matter if you go and visit a conference, or if you're just a student answering a teacher's question during your school experience. Not knowing is something that is very difficult to admit to. Because if you admit that you don't know something, you will be considered to be stupid, as social conditioning goes. So what are the reasons for us still experiencing the emotions that we consider to be not okay? The reason why we experience the emotions that are not okay is because you cannot take the emotions away from your experience of being a physical human here on earth. It's our misconception and misunderstanding happening around emotions that is preventing us from a healthy interaction with our emotions. One of the greatest reasons why we may feel repelled by certain emotions when we experience them is because we have internalized the voices of our early caregivers who have made us believe that experiencing certain emotions is not okay. You don't bring this into this world when you're born. This is something that is actually taught to you via socialization, social conditioning, and the information and also the unspoken, non-verbal messages that you get from your early caregivers. That's one of the greatest reasons. Emotional gaslighting and emotional ignorance, as far as emotions are concerned, are among greatest reasons for us feeling as if emotions are our enemies. Befriending our emotions is a very important step to take. No matter which tradition you refer yourself to, whether it be Buddhism or Christianity, or whether you choose to practice mindfulness, do it a scientific way, or if you choose to go and take a therapy session, the core approach to our emotions is about feeling them, not resisting them. When we're suppressing emotions and we're disowning emotions, we're just storing them in the shadow aspect of our psyche. They will keep surfacing up from that aspect of the psyche. We will keep adopting and acting from various sub-personalities that were created when our consciousness got fragmented in the first place, when the traumatic experience that we lived through happened in our early childhood, very often during the preconceptual stage in our development. There is a lot of information available, including various methods for how to work with our emotions, for how to handle our emotions. All of them boil down to one thing. If you're unable to pick the method that suits you best, just trust me, it all comes down to one thing. Don't suppress the emotions. Don't ignore the emotions. Feel them. I've recently learned an amazing method from an incredible teacher that I'm following that included breathing in the emotion in its full degree and breathing out relief. So you breathe in the emotion, you let it flow over your body, you let it shower your body with its full intensity, and then what you do is you, as you exhale the relief. That's what you have to do with your emotions. Whichever method you take, it will boil down to feeling your emotions. And the earlier you start feeling your emotions, the better. If you refuse to feel an emotion, then you're just postponing the inevitable. You're putting off the time when the universe will force you to experience that emotion at its full. So, in case it's in your free will, in case you can consciously choose to feel the emotion, make sure you grasp at that chance and you actually do it until you get into a very, very harsh scenario. It's natural for us to suppress or disown our emotions because that's something that we started doing since the very moment of the trauma when fragmentation happened. Therefore, we internalize this pattern, and every time we're experiencing an uncomfortable emotion that we register as a negative emotion, we start resisting it and disowning it and suppressing it. The healthy approach would be the opposite. Please trust me. As far as you are in the human body, you will keep experiencing emotions. It's part of our human experience, experiencing emotions. We may project the ability to not experience emotions on spiritual teachers, for instance, when we observe them from a distance and we think, oh, that monk remained so calm in the face of all of those bursting emotions. The truth is that that monk is probably maintaining the perspective, is staying within the identification of his broader self, or the empty formless witness, or another very transcendental state from which you can still experience the emotions, but it's not you who is experiencing the emotions, it's just the emotions that are being experienced. Very, very many of us are currently far from that state, and we need to be honest about it, and we need to work with the truth at hand. Whatever you have at hand, whatever your truth at hand is, use it to work with the current material that is emerging on the surface of your psyche. Don't ignore your emotions. In the comment section down below, please complete my list with any other emotions that you feel are not okay to feel by the current society, that many people go through and experience their own inadequacy just because the reality of theirs is that they're experiencing the emotions, but the society is telling them that it's wrong to experience them. The more open we become about our internal being, the whole truth, I mean the entire thing, not just the fragments of it or the less triggering elements of it, the more inclusive we will turn into a society. So let's take steps in that direction and be conscious and be mindful and be accepting. If you've enjoyed this video, please make sure you like it and subscribe to my channel, and also follow me on Facebook for more direct emotion related and also shadow work inspiration and spirituality inspiration, and also whatever domain you need empowerment in, I'll be very happy to be there for you, and I'll make sure that I have a video for you. So please ask me your questions, subscribe and like this video, and I'll see you very soon.